Elinter, your official mentor graphics partner in the German-speaking market. Please enjoy the news about the VX2 version of PAD's DX Designer with Rob Davis.
Welcome to the highlights of the VX2 release of software. With VX2 we continue to add new functionality to the product, as well as enhancing existing functionality to make the design task easier. One of the major new features is an enhanced search engine, enabling you to search across your design data as well as your library data. The new search functionality searches your design data and library data all from a single location. It comprises a generic search field and a series of tabs for the data scope. The tabs and content can be modified from the settings dialog. Using the Design Parts tab, you can simply type any string to search for the design data. Cross-probing between the results and the schematic is supported. You can refine the search to look for more specific data and use keywords to set scope or match data more precisely. The engine will match data even if it doesn't appear in the data grid or is not visible in the schematic. Multiple selection is also supported using the Shift key and then a double mouse click to cross-probe. The Design Nets tab is configured to show data relevant to the nets in the design. Again, you can simply type a string to initiate the search. Columns can be sorted by clicking the header and filtered using the magnifying glass. The Parts tab is used to search the Databook parametric database for information. A new part replace wizard leverages the enhanced search capability to allow you to replace parts across the design in a simple guided process. A new wizard steps you through the process of part replacement. It can be initiated from the search window or the schematic. Here we select a part in the schematic. To replace all similar parts in the sheet, we simply change the scope. Find the replacement part in Databook and drop it into the form. Then map the pins and properties as appropriate. Using the Custom option gives more detail on how the pins and parts will be mapped. Finally, replace the parts. Here we use the Assistant to visit each instance before making the substitution. We have made changes to the way blocks are instantiated in the design and how the block interface is modified. As soon as the block is placed, it is ready to be renamed. You can then use the block to create some new hierarchy, or use it to create hierarchy from existing circuitry. Once the block is created, you can modify the pins on the block directly in the schematic, including moving pins and renaming nets. Notice that net names and pin names are independent of each other, and that changes to the net name do not change the pin names immediately. If you wish to propagate the net name to the pin, you can do so from the Context menu. You no longer have to freeze the block when instantiating it multiple times in repeated hierarchy. The built-in cross-referencing functionality has been enhanced to include support for hierarchy. Here we have a block with pins in zones F7 and E7. Running the new Tools cross-reference command immediately updates the data in the underlying schematic. If I move the block so the pins are in different zones, I just have to run the command again. Unlike the Scout, I don't have to close the schematic. Colouring a net now works through the hierarchy and may be toggled using the toolbar button. With VX2 we introduce a replacement symbol editor built on DX Designer technology. This has the advantage of a consistent look and feel across both tools, with identical graphical rendering, fonts and colour schemes. In addition, we inherit the same functionality and scripting environment of VBScript and Java. In symbol edit mode, the tool has a modified user interface consistent with the symbol editing task. With the introduction of the new editor, we have switched on support for compound symbols. A compound symbol combines basic graphical data with specific data for how the symbol should behave when flipped, mirrored and rotated. This negates the need to have multiple symbol definitions to control the symbol's rotated views. A compound symbol is created automatically when you create a new symbol, or by merging an existing symbol when you open it from library tools. The merge option will only be presented if the system detects more than one symbol with the same name in the library. You then have the choice to merge symbols or keep them separate. If you choose to merge the symbols, you can choose which should become the base 0-degree rotation, and which rotation any alternate symbol represents. These will then be combined to create a single compound view. There are, of course, situations when you may not wish to merge two symbols, such as the case here where we have two logical views of the same gate. In this case, you don't merge the symbols, and you end up with two symbols, a .1 and a .2 file, both with their own compound views. As well as new functionality, we continue to enhance the existing functionality to make the tool more intuitive and easier to use. The selection filter can be customized to create schemes. As each scheme is created, it appears in the drop-down list in the dialog, and is also available directly from the toolbar button. Using the new option from the context menu, you can exclude parts from layout and/or the parts list. This sets the forward PCB flag and highlights the excluded part in the schematic. It includes any associated connectivity. To better manage the interactions between the VX and other tools within the design process, as well as updates affecting the design project, we have introduced a new synchronization mechanism. Based on the traffic light indicator within the status bar, a new project integration dialog is exposed indicating which particular objects need updating within the project, whether this is back annotation data from PCB, or schematic updates such as bus contents, cross-references, or the automatically evaluated sheet border properties. Based on a number of requests on the ideas site, we have enhanced rotation of objects to include multiple objects with connectivity. When an object is selected, it exposes a rotation wand, allowing you to rotate the object directly on the schematic, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. The origin of the wand can also be moved to adjust the center of rotation. Grab handles have been extended to include the graphical objects of arc, line, circle and box, so that these can be manipulated directly in the schematic, and symbol scaling is now available in the Properties pane. The editor now supports the creation of polylines and polygons, essential for symbol editing. There is also a new method to manipulate text origins. The text origin can be manipulated directly in the schematic, simply by drag and drop. Net merging now includes a simple selection option for the user. Information regarding constraints and topology are presented to the user to allow them to make an informed choice, and hints are provided in the banner. First introduced in the PAD's VX.1.2 flow, we have modified the toolbars to reduce clutter and bring more focus to design tasks. As well as reducing the number of toolbars visible by default, we have rearranged commands into more logical groupings. At the same time, we've enhanced your ability to customize the environment to better suit your design needs. The toolbars have been reorganized for better grouping based on design task, with a single row of buttons presented by default. Layouts can be switched using the new toolbar button to the right of the screen. Hidden toolbars can easily be switched on, and the revised layout is saved on project close. You may create your own schemes and customize the toolbars to suit the way you work. Buttons can be added and removed, and toolbar and window locations changed. VX2 sees databooks supporting SQLite databases, a free database format with wide support for mixed 32-bit and 64-bit platforms, and no reliance on ODBC as the database connection. To take advantage of this format, there are a number of free editors and conversion tools on the web. If you are using the latest Intel chipsets, you can take advantage of Intel schematic design review services for design validation. Originally this used EDIF schematic as the interchange format, but it was soon found that EDIF was inadequate for this task. Mentor Graphics and Intel therefore jointly developed a bespoke format for the exchange of data. Initially this was only available from the command line, but in VX2 it is available from the standard file export menu as the SCT netlist. Ideas continue to help us prioritize development of the product, and in VX2 over 40 ideas will be delivered. Net names can now be duplicated so that you can have more than one label on long nets, making it easier to document your design. Cut nets now cuts back to the nearest node, a pin, a solder joint or bus ripper. Using a single mouse click will cut the net back to the node, and using a fence cuts an area. The translators continue to be developed and refined, enabling you to migrate third-party and legacy designs through to the latest versions of Expedition and PADS flows. We now support OrCAD designs up to version 16.6 and have enhanced support for migration of Altium designs. This concludes the Release Highlights presentation. Thank you for watching.